welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show today, Tuesday, 10th January 2022. I am your host, Zipporah Inshallah, joined by my co-host, Miriam Kaimba, to bring to you today's interesting topic. You can't believe it, today is already 10th January, so I hope you're already actualizing on your resolutions, because before you know it, it will be December 2023. So let's make sure that whatever resolutions that we have, let's start working on them. Let this be a positive year for all of us. So this morning at 7:30, we're going to open our phone lines, and we're going to, at 7:30, my colleague and I are going to discuss 2023 expectations from the United Party for National Development. Unfortunately, today we just have messages, so you can leave us messages on Facebook. What are your expectations from the UPND government in various areas for the year 2023? How did they perform in 2022? And what are your expectations on the performance in 2023? And at 8 hours, we're going to be joined by an energy expert, Dr. Johnston Chikwan, that will help us discuss on solving the energy crisis in Zambia. How best can Zambia solve its energy crisis? Is enough being done? Is enough investment and research being done to make sure that the energy crisis is permanently solved in Zambia? We've been talking about alternatives to hydropower electricity, but apart from talk, how much investment have we put in other sectors? So at 8 hours, do join us and leave us messages as well and participate in the topic. But for now, as usual, before we start our day, let's stretch a little, and so let's have the morning boost.
Hello. I'm your boy Harrison, aka the Fitness Papi, once again, and we are here at Chonzi Fitness Gym, and today we are going to do spinning for probably 5 minutes or 4 minutes. Okay, we can go. You have to insert here. Make sure that the foot is wrapped around the belt. Then you now start. Okay. So the benefit of spinning, it actually helps boost up your metabolism, and it also helps your cardiovascular system. And physical benefits, can tell it also helps you with the calves, the legs. Okay. So we go. Since I have less time, so I'm going to just speed up things. So I'm going to harden here my adjustive knob. Then I stand. Take it slowly. Take it slowly. So this kind of movement helps the gut muscles here, and when you take it down, it helps your calves here. Let's go. So take it slowly. Okay, then I loosen my adjustive knob. I sit down again. So you can also do a full body workout while having a stationary bike, but I'm not encouraging for those who have the bikes, the normal transportation bikes. Yeah, but if you have a stationary bikes, you can also do a full body workout. Okay, here we go. So start with the back squeeze. Back squeeze. Okay. So from there you can go to side to side. Just for like this. Okay. So this one really helps the shoulders here. Okay. Then from here you can go to one hand lace. Let's go. This kind of movement also helps you in your shoulders. Keep going. Okay, then from there, you harden your adjusted knob. Then you stand again, all the way. Stretch your legs. Stretch your legs. Keep going. Stretch it up. Stretch it up. Stretch it up. Stretch the abs, and we can call it a wrap. Okay, guys. Then after here, you can just stretch. Okay, then you come this side. Do your stretch. Okay. From here, you do your back stretch. I mean your what is your chest stretch. Okay, then you tap your toe here, hold, do your back stretch. Okay, and we are done with our workout. Remember, it's about your health. You've been with me, Harrison, aka the Fitness Papi, here at Chon's Fitness Gym. Bye bye.
Like they say, a healthy nation is a wealthy one. Hence the need for us to continue exercising. You know, it's very, very important that when you wake up in the morning every single day, try by all means to do 1 or 2 little exercise. I've continued doing that myself, and I must say that it is very beneficial. Zipporah, I don't know how you take this.
Yeah, exercises, you know, Miriam, are very beneficial. And one of the ways, anyway, you can exercise, you can also exercise your mouth.
Yeah.
Preventing more than eating fatty food. Just like vegetables, it's not always about, you know, writing about.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're exercising, I'm sure those guys even give you a guidance of what you need to eat and ensure that you keep your body intact and in check. You don't want to exercise and then you eat something else. You know, this fast food, the chicken and chips, pizza, and all those kind of stuff.
But you know, I discovered a better way yesterday. I was thinking like, oh, you know, I love fries, I love chicken. So the best way, just fry it, Miriam. Fry it. Why should you start deep frying it? You know, it's healthy. Fry it, and then for your chips, you can air fry them. You know, using an air fryer. So,
but you know, you don't have to eat those things like on a daily basis.
If it's fried, Miriam.
Like on a daily basis, I don't think anyone would recommend you to do that.
Not on a daily basis, but if you want to go and buy, when you think of buying, you know, these deep fried things, just go at home, you go on a braai, you know, air fry your chips, then yeah, you're good to go.
Anyway, talking about health, let's get to see what the doctors have for us this morning.
Hi everyone, welcome to the health segment on the breakfast show. I am Dr. Nakwiana Mfaya. This week we are talking about diabetes, and yesterday we talked about what diabetes is and how it comes about. We said diabetes is a condition where there's elevated blood sugar or so much blood sugar or blood glucose in your body that your cells are not able to utilize that blood sugar because they are not taking up the blood sugar from the system. So today we'll discuss some of the symptoms and signs of diabetes. How can you know that you have diabetes? So sometimes most people do not have any symptoms. They don't show any signs or any symptoms of having diabetes. But there are others that would have certain symptoms. And these are a triad of symptoms. This includes polyuria. Polyuria is where you urinate frequently. And the second one is polydipsia. And this is where you get to drink so much water. The third one is polyphagia. And polyphagia is where you eat more than you usually eat. So these are the three main symptoms of somebody that has diabetes. So they would present with eating so much more than they usually eat, drinking so much water, and also urinating frequently or urinating more than they usually do. Other symptoms include things like weight loss, because they're not utilizing the sugars that they're eating, so they would end up losing weight. So patients with diabetes may also present with complications of diabetes. So they might not know that they have diabetes until at a time when they have the complications of diabetes. So they might present with high blood pressure. They might have things like eye problems. They would present to the hospital with eye problems. So these are some of the complications that they might present with, even with diabetes, because they do not know that they have diabetes, and so they have developed complications. So these are some of the things that you need to look out for if you know somebody that is eating more than usual, drinking more water than usual. I'm not saying that it means now because someone is drinking a lot of water then they have diabetes. It could be some other thing, something else, or it could just be normal thirst. But you just need to look out and know some of these signs and symptoms of diabetes so that you can quickly go and get tested and check your blood sugar. So this is all that I had for today. I do hope you have learned something. Make sure you tune in again tomorrow at the same time on the breakfast show here on Camnet TV.
Quite interesting there. I hope you got one or two tips there from the doctor, and like we always say, apart from hearing what the doctors are saying, please put it into practice. Do not just listen, because it's not going to work for you if you just listen, and make sure that you share this knowledge with those people, with people at home, in your community, and just help us all to be healthy. And just now we move to the money market to see how our kwacha is faring against major international comparables. Let's take a look at today's money market. We have the United States dollar. They are buying at 18 kwacha 10 ngwe, selling at 18 kwacha 46 ngwe. The Great British Pound buying at 22 kwacha 04 ngwe, selling at 22 kwacha 47 ngwe. The Euro buying at 19 kwacha 42 ngwe, selling at 19 kwacha 18 ngwe. The South African Rand buying at 1 kwacha 07 ngwe, and selling at 1 kwacha 09 ngwe. Miriam, your thoughts on the US dollar to the kwacha?
We have continued seeing that, the US dollar there, it's trading and almost running to 18 kwacha.
To 19.
To 19, yeah, to 19. But we hope for the best at the end of it all. And I must tell you that last year we had prediction that we might be trading somewhere at 10 kwacha, 11 kwacha, somewhere there. But we have continued seeing that keeps on increasing. Anyway, we don't want to see it at a point where it goes to 21 kwacha like last time, 23 kwacha now. Because that will greatly affect us badly. Looking at the current situation that we are in, when you talk about the energy issue, the energy crisis, and all those other things affecting us right now, I must tell you that. Zipporah, that when we talk about energy, when we talk about electricity, we are not only talking about how this is affecting us not having power, but our business and other things surrounding. So when you look at how the kwacha is performing against the dollar there, Zippo, you understand that with the electricity put together with the load shedding put together with how the currency is trading there, trust me, at the end of it all, we are going to see a very high price of commodities on the market very, very soon. And with this load shedding, it's worse. Yeah.
And thankfully, we're going to be joined by an energy expert soon at 8 hours, Dr. Johnson Kwanda, to just discuss how best we can solve the energy crisis in Zambia. And when we talk about load shedding, of course, we're talking about climate change. We'll just find ourselves going around in circles, Load shedding, again, we're talking about issues of climate change, we're talking about poor rainfall, we're talking about hunger, poor harvest. It's just one continuous cycle. But anyway, Miriam, just before we go into that, let's just take a look at some of the stories that made headlines yesterday. So one of those stories is continued cadarism at Mtendere East Market. So the two markets, yesterday, I even had a hard time finding the markets. The two Mtendere East Market. So this one is the one near the Natural Resources Development College, NRDC. So this is a cooperative-run market, and at the market, Miriam, you also find the UPND office. They're saying previously it used to be green, now it's red as usual. So, so now the cooperative are saying they're having a hard time, collecting revenue because they get money for electricity and all those other things because it is run by the cooperative, not the council. So they're saying the same UPND officials that from the ward, Kalikiliki ward, they said, no, dissolve this cooperative, we're the ones in charge of the market, so whatever revenue you have, give us. So they allegedly broke into the office and stole over, 25,000 kwacha of revenue. So there's these wrangles, which the cooperative wants to be solved at this market. And yesterday, when I was on the ground, the police came, they rounded up some of the people who were accused of cadarism, and so they're investigating the matter. Currently, they've been given police calls, to exculpate themselves over what happened. So, Miriam, your thoughts of the issues of continued cadarism
in the market?
Is it because, people are saying they're not benefiting, or from the European?
I think, we have come to a point where, Zipporah, that a lot of people have put this mindset that, we saw this happening during the previous administration. Now that it's us, in the party in power, we also need to benefit. But this should not be the trend. This is the time where the United Party for National Development Administration should completely put a stop to cadarism in the market. And it shouldn't only end at the warning they give, Zipporah. Yes, you're giving people warning, but when you go on the ground, what is happening? People have continued with this cadarism. So their warnings shouldn't only be them speaking, giving speeches, but they should go on the ground and ensure that there's a completely stop to this cadarism. Because this is the only way that we are going to, stop these people from harassing marketeers. Besides, we have the council who are in charge of these markets. Why should cadres want to, take charge as if they are part of the council? Where is it written in the law? And
yesterday we were discussing with our colleague Patrick Soko, saying maybe the council should take full control of all markets because
they have already been given that mandate.
But the issue, Miriam, is that there are council-run markets and the cooperative-run market. So now the cadarism is mostly at cooperative-run markets. Even the other time we were at Pamosi Market in Kanyama constituency. So you find that it's run by a cooperative, it's a cooperative market. So you find that in the market leadership, the cadres want to find themselves there as leaders so that they can collect the revenue. So if the council takes over, then we're going to end cadarism. Why should some markets be left like? I think cooperative markets are one of the entry points for cadarism. Because you don't even know who sits on the committee. Maybe people choose themselves and all that. So If the council takes over all markets, including cooperative markets, I think we're going to make a positive step towards ending cadarism.
Anyway, let's get direct into playing that story and we'll continue with our discussion.
While reports of cadarism in Lusaka Central Business District have reduced, the vice is reportedly thriving in community markets. This is an office belonging to the United Party for National Development UPND at Mutendere East Market near the National Resources Development College NRDC, which has been locked up by the Zambia police after reports of cadarism from market officials operating from this office. Valley View Marketeers Cooperative Society chairperson Crispin Mwanza explains that the market is run by the cooperative, adding that cooperative leaders have been at loggerheads with market officials from the UPND office who dissolved the cooperative leadership without following due procedure and have been demanding that they hand over all funds collected from the market, such as those for electricity.
My surplus yesterday, it was the UPND cadres came, the name of Mr. Snonge, the ward chairman, and Mr. Bonga and the rest. The wife. And the wife of Mr. Snonge. They came here to close the office. And then most of the time, when they visit us in the office, they always demand 2,000 kwacha. We don't have that money. Yes. We don't have that money. The man which are collecting is very, even you can see, the shops are closed. All shops are closed. So now we said we don't have money, and most of them they're saying, if you don't have money, which means us, we're going to remove you. But when I take up, madam, you are union, never take up. Then we have most of the time putting and drama. That's just a good.
Meanwhile, Cooperative Treasurer Charles Nyirenda has alleged that the said card has broken into the cooperative office, which had over 25,000 kwacha of revenue, and even changed the lock of the office.
They have put in, they have removed the lock which we locked the office. Surprisingly, I found that they have put in their own lock. Now, I left some money which we collected. The levies which we collected in this market. I also left something, my own pocket money, which I use my own business. That's I'm doing bakery. Yeah. So what we want, what I'm asking for is just they come and open for us, please. If they open so that we see what we left inside, if they are there.
Meanwhile, a concerned UPND member, Moses Chinza, has also commented on the issue.
So now these guys with impunity yesterday, they came, chased out these guys who are here, locked up the officers, and with impunity, they said that we've actually dissolved the committee without following the procedure. I want to make the point very, very clear. Much as I'm concerned, there is nobody who's going to take it all into their own hands. UPN is a law-abiding party. These guys are not answerable to the cadres. These guys are only answerable to the union. Moreover, there was a very big problem here, of which there was a mountain of garbage which was actually accumulating just behind there.
The matter is currently being investigated by the Zambia police, while police call-outs have been issued for the accused parties. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Thank you so much. Quite interesting story there. But we hope that, the issue of cadarism will be completely put to an end and ensure that we bring sanity in our market. It's very sad that, people in the markets have continued being harassed and terrorized by cadres. It's a very, very sad situation. The president has on several occasions warned these activities, warned these acts, and he doesn't want to see them continuing in this market. Your thought on that, Zippo?
Yeah, Miriam, it's really, really sad. And the fact that they allegedly, broke into the office. So they're saying they have their own lock, but imagine going to office to find a new lock there. They found a new lock at the office, and they're saying they left over 25,000 kwacha of revenue in the office. So that now they're saying we're not going to open this office. We want to open this office together with the police so that we check with the police and not same people, so that we check and see if everything that we left is there. So anyway, it's really that situation. I hope that they're brought to book.
Exactly. But anyway, moving on. Yesterday we saw the president, the head of state, Zipporah, meeting various stakeholders, various task force energy stakeholders who are coming on board, and ensure that they talk about how they are going to, you know, solve these energy issues. But anyway, before we look at that story, there's a story you did about the constituency development funds yesterday. Maybe we can dodge that
before we go into the main interview. So looking at zooming yesterday's story as well, we look at a story, Miriam. So in 2022, I'm sure yesterday I was surprised to hear the permanent secretary in charge of technical services for the Ministry of Local Government, Mr. Nicholas Piri, who was actually saying that 100% of the CDF was disbursed to all constituencies, Miriam, by 31st December 2022. But the question is, what did the 25.7 million kwacha do? You know, so they're saying the full amount was released, or 156 constituencies. So they're saying, due to the challenges that we experienced this year, the ministry has engaged a lot of stakeholders, Miriam. Key institutions like the Engineering Institute of Zambia, of course, to make sure that the project's up to standard, you know, the National Construction Council, and many, many others, a lot of stakeholders. So yesterday, I think the over 20 representatives from various institutions, everyone is giving the expert advice. So they're saying some are going to be, helping contractors with capacity building to deliver on time, to build on time, to make sure everything is of quality and all that. So Miriam, I hope that and then also the approval has been taken to provincial level. The approval of the projects they will no longer need to take the ministry, waiting for the ministry.
That's a very good move.
Yeah, the approval will be done at provincial level. So Miriam, I hope that with these interventions by 2023 December, we're going to actually see this CDF. Working, and a lot of projects being implemented indeed, because that was the excuse we used to get most of the time, that they delay in approving this project and so on and so forth. But anyway, let's get direct into playing that story, and we'll continue with our discussion. According to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, 100% of the 25.7 million kwacha 2022 Constituency Development Fund CDF was disbursed to all 156 constituencies in the country as of 31st December 2022. While this is the case, many citizens have been questioning what this fund has done for their communities so far, as little can be seen. To avoid falling into the same pit, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development says it is taking a different approach with the 28.3 million kwacha 2023 CDF to ensure that it is fully utilized. Addressing the media Monday at a joint press briefing with various stakeholders, Ministry Permanent Secretary in charge of Technical Services Nicholas Piri says one of these measures is engaging various key institutions to work with the government.
The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has since delegated the power to approve the Constituency Development Fund applications to the provincial local government officers based at the provincial levels, to be supervised by the provincial permanent secretary. This delegation, ladies and gentlemen, has been done in line with the provision of Section 68 of the Local Government Act No. 2 of 2019 and the Statutory Functions Act No. 6 of the laws of Zambia. This therefore entails that the provincial government officers in each province will approve 1. all the community projects, including the disaster component. 2. all applications for youth, women, and community empowerment. And 3. all applications for secondary boarding and skills development.
Meanwhile, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development Director Mwamba Chansa says the loan aspect of CDF has also been unlocked in 2023.
And I can report that the government has since engaged 9 financial institutions who will be able to screen all loan applications from clubs, cooperatives, SMEs, who come up with viable business proposal.
Among key institutions engaged are the National Council for Construction (NCC) and the Engineering Institute of Zambia (EIZ), among others.
We have entered in an understanding with the local government in order to work in collaboration with the local authorities so that contractors at the constituency or at the rural district, they can be able to submit and find information at the local authority offices and submit the applications, and then we collaborate and ensure that we speed up the approval process for the contractors.
And because it is funded by public funds, it has got to meet the requirements that government has set with regard to the expenditure of public funds. There are three: quality, timely delivery, at the right price. Those are the pillars that the CDF funds must meet.
All citizens are hoping to see the grassroots development that was promised under the CDF coming into fruition in 2023. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. Quite interesting there. We've seen the Constituency Development Fund, CDF reforms for 2023. And Miriam, my interest really is not in all that, these technical terms. Me, I just want to see a road when I go in Tendere. I'll see, here there was no road, now there's a road. You know what I mean? I don't want to know who's been engaged where. Because for as long as many people are engaged, but I don't see any development that is of no use.
It is
of no use,
it isn't.
Yeah, so anyway, we hope that by 2023 we're going to see what is desired. And moving on, Miriam, to our next topic. You did go to State House yesterday where the head of state was talking about the energy crisis. Please put us up to speed with that.
So yesterday, Zipporah, the president met the task force energy sector expert, and they did have an indoor meeting, but before that he did address us on how they had gone to Kariba and Mamba collieries, on what exactly the meeting was all about and how fruitful it was, and the solutions that they're trying to come up right now. So that meeting, Zippo, was consisting of the Energy Regulation Board, let me just say all energy experts or energy people in this sector, and which solutions they're going to come up with in terms of, ending this crisis. But one thing I love that the president did mention, though, Zippo, was that, it was very, 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 very saddened that despite 35 years, 35 years, in these years we have not come up with a solution of addressing load shedding. I don't want to call it load management because I don't see how we were managing it, but we haven't come up with solutions. So this is, it brings us back to a point where have we done enough in terms of addressing issues when it comes to our energy sector? Are we putting in other measures, other alternatives? Are we looking at other things that can help us? If the situation is not addressed currently, few years from now, in future, we are going to, find ourselves in similar situation of load shedding, because load shedding, you will understand that it hasn't started with the UPND administration. It started way back a long time ago. The PF came in, there was still load shedding, and it was worse when we talk about in 2015, we had worse load shedding. Now it's 12 hours, it's again worse. But anyway, we hope that with the meeting that the president had with this task force and other various companies, we hope that a lasting solution will come out from this, and hope that at the end of this, we don't go back to the issue of load shedding again in future. But anyway, let's get direct into playing that story before we transition to our next segment, where we'll be joined by an energy expert this morning who is going to help us discuss our topic of discussion this morning. An attempt to black out the media by some task force official at State House this morning, Monday the 9th of January 2023, during a meeting held to resolve the present energy crisis, had the plans prevented after the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema insisted that the media stick around during the initial discussion. President Hichilema insisted on the media being present as to avoid misinformation on the energy crisis, which seems to have taken center stage after the start of load shedding.
Task force or working group to deliver energy sufficiency and service. I think we must keep the theme alive. And the challenges we have maybe just provoke us to do what we should have done 30, 40 years ago as a country. That's the way I see things myself. That's how my brain works. So when people are complaining, flip the coin around, address the complaints, but ensure they don't complain again by finding solutions.
As the meeting commenced, President Hichilema noticed that ZESCO Managing Director was missing in action, a situation that prompted the head of state to order that the representative sent by ZESCO steps out and call. The ZESCO MD arrived 20 minutes later after the meeting had started, and in addressing a task force appointed to find solution to the current energy crisis, the head of state observed the need for cooperation among various institutions such as Ministry of Energy, Information and Green Economy to plan on such effects can be avoided in future and communicated to the people. The president also noted that it was not a hidden fact that the Zambezi River Authority did not do a good job in managing allocation water to the two countries, Zambia and its neighboring country, Zimbabwe.
That's good enough. Finance is in. I notice this is this here?
Yes, Mr. President, we have the gentleman who was sent by them presented. I didn't get the name. You can just speak your name. My name is Roy Chichikwa. Very nice.
Okay. We'll give you time to take a step outside, call the MD to come in. Yeah, when we settle down.
Earlier, Green Economy Minister stole the show after the Energy Minister, who was tasked by the President to explain to the task force over the outcome of his visit at Kariba Dam and Mamba Collieries, failed to explain. The Energy Minister, who was expected to be on top of the show, considering the fact that the current situation is in line with his ministry, told the President that he had failed to be on site because of bad weather. However, alluded to the fact that he was visiting the site tomorrow.
I think when you visit Kafue and you stated then that load shedding had ended, that statement was spot on, because when you look at the Kariba and the Kafue system have enough water for generation. We generated the exchange in Kafue Upper, we generate a Kafue Lower. For the Kariba system, and unfortunately, ZRA did not, as you stated yourself, Mr. President, manage this resource as adequately as they should have.
President Hakainde Hichilema and members of the task force on Sunday visited Mamba Collieries Limited and Kariba Dam North Bank, which is a ZESCO hydropower system.
With respect to accrued liabilities, this is amounts going back to a few years since ZESCO wasn't paying its bills to Mamba, and they have also reached an agreement in respect of that. Specifically, they have agreed 2 milestones. Half of the outstanding amount due is payable by the end of April, and the balance of that amount is payable by the end of August.
At the moment, the country is experiencing a 12-hour load shedding treatment from last week, which effective 9th January 2023 has been split in 2 6-hour operations with outage breaks. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Mamba Collieries in the heart of Southern Province is the second largest power producer in the country. It produces about 300 megawatts of power and contributes about 216 to ZESCO's main grid. Now, since its routine maintenance, which are done twice a year, this time around it has reduced its power generation to 150. This has led to the increase in load management by the power utility company ZESCO. Late 2022, ZESCO announced a 6-hour load management schedule. But earlier this year, with only less than 10 days in 2023, it has increased the load management schedule to 12 hours. This development has angered many sectors, especially those who deal in small and medium enterprises. Stakeholders have raised their voices on this, owing to the fact that President Hakainde Hichilema, during his time as opposition leader, made a clarion call every time he touched the podium to say, once given an opportunity to be in government, he will end load shedding. This has prompted him to move out of his comfort zone to come here in Mamba to ascertain exactly what is happening. Yesterday at State House, he convened a meeting with energy sector players where he wanted to ascertain the reasons why Mamba Collieries goes for these routine maintenance works, and specifically at this time of the year when the water levels are low.
To Mamba, accelerate the work you are doing. I repeat what I said, an extra hour saved, bring the asset into full production is key. Can save a child on oxygen in a hospital. Because if power went off, the oxygen machine will go off if there's no standby power, and we could lose a life.
President Hichilema also touched on the rumors that are circulating on social media that Mamba Collieries has reduced its power generation due to the date owed by ZESCO. He says that the two institutions have reached an agreement and business is going on strong.
Our first call is the domestic market demand. It's the people of Zambia. But the very people of Zambia require jobs, those who are not employed, and hence we have to export. It's a question of balancing the two. They are both necessary.
During the same meeting, Energy Regulation Board informed the gathering that maintenance works here at Mamba Collieries have reduced from 16 days to at least a minimum number to ensure that generation of power is restored to full capacity. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Mamba Collieries Power Generation Plant in Southern Province.
Popularly known as the local national team, is inviting all skillfully gifted, talented and creative soccer players from across Zambia. Ages between 16 and 20 must come, train and join the club. The category of these gifted footballers have the chance to go and market their talent in Europe and USA through Camnet Stars Football Club, a team formed with a vision to produce quality international players. Please do not miss this brief open opportunity given to you. Camnet Stars Football Club could be your gateway to your international soccer career. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Date 12th December 2022 to 21st January 2023. Time 09 hours to 11 hours. Your time to shine is now.
Thank you so much for still staying tuned to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Right about now, we transition into our main interview, and in studio we are joined by an energy expert, Dr. Johnston Chikwanda, who is going to help us discuss our topic this morning, which is looking at solving the energy crisis in Zambia. Good morning, Doc, and welcome to the interview.
Good morning, Miriam.
We are glad to have you on set this morning.
Thank you so much.
In the new year. And we're talking about energy crisis in Zambia.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years. for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
We apologize for that short interruption, but anyway, we continue with our breakfast show this morning. Like I mentioned earlier, in studio, we are joined by an energy expert, Dr. Johnston Chikwanda, who's going to help us discuss our topic this morning, which is solving the energy crisis in Zambia. But anyway, just a reminder to our viewers, in case you are watching us live on Facebook, you'll be able to drop us your messages. Apparently, we're unable to pick phone calls this morning. This is due to some technical issues that we are having. But anyway, nevertheless, please drop those messages on Facebook. We'll be able to read them through. Good morning, Doc, and welcome to the interview.
Good morning, Miriam, and good to see you in the new year.
Thank you. It's good to see you too.
Wow, very good, except for the same issue that we're here for.
Load shedding.
The issue of load shedding.
Yeah.
But anyway, to start with our interview this morning, as a country, are we doing enough to solve this energy crisis that we have currently?
That's a very important question that you have asked.
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing enough, or have we done enough?
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a Greek philosopher who said that we are where we are because of our actions in the past. What has come into being by virtue of its history. And when I look at where we're coming from as a country, we have a well-documented catalog of the challenges that we face in the energy sector and how to solve them.
Mm-hmm.
That is already known.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem that we've been facing as a country is not that we don't know what our problems are. It's not that we don't have the plans. We have the plans, but it's an implementation problem.
Mm-hmm.
That is what is very key, the implementation. And as long as we do not change fundamentally the underlying causes to this,
mm-hmm.
it does not matter how much investment pledges that we get. They cannot be actualized into actual assets that can start to generate the electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to put their money in Africa. Everyone wants to put their money in Zambia in order to generate the electricity. We had the $5 billion of investment pledges at ZDA, even more than that. But they don't get actualized. The reason is because the tariff structure is not okay, and there are other significant bottlenecks that have to be worked out in order to make it more attractive for the investors to come in.
Mm-hmm.
That is why we are in this same spot which we have been. We have been here before at this spot, and again here we are.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, Doc, we already do have a message from one of our viewers who's asking a question, saying, speaking in real terms, how many years do you think it will take Zambia to solve the energy problem? Also, as an expert, what will happen if Zambia completely stops electricity exports? So that's a question from a viewer out there.
what it would take, we could have resolved that problem even a long time ago, because like I mentioned, we already know what our problems are, but it's the implementation and also the political will as a country, because everyone is so politically sensitive to touch the tariff. When you look at the 7th National Development Plan, it is there that can we make the tariffs to become cost reflective? The reason is simple, so that you can attract the investment there. So that has not been dealt with in a significant way. And we're getting hit ourselves, even us as consumers. You see? So until things like that are resolved, we need to come to a realization where people know, where the industry knows that what you are paying currently is not cost reflective by XYZ. Fortunately, that has already been now unpacked, because we had the cost of service electricity study, which was done by an independent consultant from Europe. And he has also told us that your tariff structure is not cost reflective. You need to increase by so much, 17% over 5 years, which is really quite small, and that you are going to need $14 billion over the next few years in order to bring the energy sector to a standard. Now, where is that 14 billion going to come from if we do not rework the tariff in order to make it more attractive, and also rework other cumbersome processes that we have that take you more than 1 year, just with approval processes before you can start to construct. So there are some industry bottlenecks that we have to rework. There are some tariff issues that we have to work. If we don't work this, because they are at the root, if we don't, it doesn't matter how brilliant the ideas which somebody has. It doesn't matter the type of pledges that you get to invest. They can't hold if we don't work the ground properly in order to unlock those particular things. And this requires the support of everyone, because we have to engage all stakeholders, and including the consumers. They must understand how do we move together, all of us, to ensure that we come out of this doldrum that we are in and never come back to things like this. So I think that talks about the first question, which talks
And the
about
second question was, what will happen if Zambia completely stops its electricity exports?
Of course, it can
Just
reduce
in
a bit of
addition,
some pressure.
just in addition to that, Doc, when we talk about electricity export, we are aware that, you know, exporting this power, Zambia do generate some revenue out of this. And when we completely stop, don't you think this will have a huge impact on the country?
First and foremost, in energy diplomacy, we have to be very careful how we handle our neighbors, because we depend on our neighbors for many other things, including for fuel transportation. We depend on them. And we've been before in this condition, and our neighbors came to our rescue. I remember in 2015, thereabout, it was the Mozambicans who stood with us. It was the South Africans who stood with us. So we have to be mindful that in keeping with the spirit of energy diplomacy and in the spirit of Ubuntu, we share the record that we have. But notwithstanding, in moments like this, we can look at the size of the export and see if it is possible to cut back a bit. Because I'm saying if it is 400 which is being exported, 400 megawatts or 450, maybe you can look at maybe cut back by 100 or 150, and hopefully Mamba also comes back online, the unit which went out. It can help to alleviate the pain which is being experienced at the moment. If we cut out completely everything, of course it will go a long way, but not completely resolve, but it will go a long way. But I have not supported the 100% cut down on the export, because we have to function within the spirit of energy diplomacy and share because some of our neighbors also are in very, very critical condition.
Yeah. So now, Doc, is increasing electricity tariffs the only alternative, or maybe are there other avenues that can be explored, considering that most of Zambia's population, over 50%, are living below the poverty line? So this will make, electricity only for the rich and further enhance inequalities. Is an increase to electricity tariffs the only alternative that we have to solve our energy crisis?
It is an apex. It is an apex problem. That means that it is a very high-ranking challenge that we sit with. It's like wanting to go to Livingstone, and there is someone saying he's going by bus or by train or by flying. Are those the only way to go to Livingstone? You can decide to crawl or to walk, and you still reach there. But in terms of the research, in terms of the studies, and numbers do not lie. This is one of our biggest challenges. It is there. Now, Zipporah, let me help, I think, the public here. There are many electricity customers, consumers. It is not just the residential. It is not just you and me. There are other customer demographics who use electricity. So, when we say this tariff is not okay and we need to rework it, I see members of the public get agitated and insult a lot. See?
Maybe it's because they don't understand.
They are not the only customers for electricity. They are not. In fact, when you look at the way the customer base has been categorized, you have got, even among the members of the public themselves, they are segmented. You have got residential one. Residential one, R1, deals with very low tariff, very, very low, for those people that are on the lower side of things. Then you have got R2, which is residential 2, which covers the middle class together with the high class. Then it goes to industries, it goes to maximum demand customers, and those who sign bulk power purchase agreements with ZESCO. So there are a number of customers there. So what maybe we need to do, or what maybe ZESCO needs to do, or the regulator, is to further segment among the members of the public. Maybe create 3 categories there. The residential, actually it is completely left for the most vulnerable of our people. Then create another band for the middle class, and then another band for the high class. And then you can maybe segment again further among other customer categories. And then you see, okay, how much do we need to increase the electricity, and who can carry this load? How do we distribute it? It is possible to leave out R1 and take it to other customer bands. It is possible. So to answer your question, we have to find a way of biting the bullet. But who should bite it is an issue now among all the different customers. Otherwise, this nightmare is going to continue. I'm telling you the truth, independent power is expensive. Or unless we just allow ZESCO to continue maybe creating more power stations and sell them at a loss. But then just to use money from government, which is still your money. So in one way or another, we're still paying, because even now ZESCO is selling at a loss because it is buying electricity, which is very expensive, from independent power producers, which it is in turn selling at a loss, the members of the public.
Do you think this is a time where the country should be looking at other alternative sources of energy?
Even the other alternative energy, they are also expensive. We have got they are also expensive. The solar is also expensive. In fact, the cheapest we're talking of is supposed to be hydropower, which at the moment is being sold at a loss. So even the alternative forms of energy, they are also expensive. However, yes, we need in a very significant way, we have to seriously diversify the energy mix. From hydro and what we have at the moment, we have developed the capacity which is more than our peak demand. We know what the electricity we need at the peak. We've already hit and surpassed that in terms of installed capacity. But because this is water-driven, sometimes we are depleting the water. When you deplete the water, even if the capacity is still there, but the machines cannot work to the full capacity because the water is not there. So we need to diversify in a very significant way, looking to other alternative sources of energy, including coal itself. We should not run away from coal. We are still too young a nation to avoid depending on it. I know it is being frowned upon it by the climate diplomats, but I'm also aware that there is a better technology now which limits the amount of pollution that you can produce by tapping into coal.
On Saturday, we saw one of the stakeholders, an opposition leader, suggesting to government that another alternative of energy that we can look at is nuclear energy. Do you think at the moment it's possible for Zambia to head in those directions?
The 7th National Development Plan laid the long-term plan for nuclear deployment in Zambia. I have not seen that in the 8th National Development Plan, and that is a bit worrisome, meaning that it is possible that there is a shift in the policy. Nuclear is very stable. Nuclear can give you the power that you need. One plant can give you the power that you need. For instance, there is a nuclear plant in South Africa, in Cape Town, and Quebec. One, it produces 9,000 megawatts, which is more than about 3 times what Zambia needs. One power plant. However, it takes long. The earliest that a nuclear power plant can be developed and deployed, ticking all the boxes in good time, it is about 15 to 19 years from now, which is why previous government started to lay the foundation, because it was looking at 20 years from now, 30 years from now, where is the future energy going to come from? Because our own research and feasibility has shown that what we can get from the water bodies, from hydro, is only a maximum of 6,000. That is what we can get from hydro. Now, where is the future power going to come from when our demand starts to reach 10,000, 15,000? Where are we going to be getting the energy from? So we need to think our dependence on hydro. Like I mentioned, the days of depending on hydro are numbered. They are seriously numbered. So in the post-dependence on hydro, where is our future energy going to come from? It could be more than 10,000 megawatts, 20,000 megawatts, because we need to cast our eyes 30 years from now, 50 years from now. That is why in the previous, I think, National Development Plan, nuclear was being contemplated in order to deal with the future security energy of the country. So it can be done. It takes long. You'll be fortunate if you can manage to bring it in 15 years' time, because of so many protocols and conventions which have to be signed. The international approvals are incredibly a lot, and the number of things that have to be done.
Quite interesting there. In case you're just joining us, we're discussing how best to solve the energy crisis in Zambia, joined by Dr. Johnston Chikwanda, an energy expert. Do leave us your messages on Facebook and participate in today's topic. Now, Doc, we've heard a lot of stakeholders, suggesting, saying, why doesn't Zambia channel water from other rivers? We have so many water bodies. Is that realistic? Can we channel water, to the Kariba Dam from other rivers? How realistic is that? Those are the suggestions that we've heard out there. Is it something that is workable, or is it, out of this world?
Well, it is good to think outside the box and very far from the box. I know that there is one time, I think it's a minister who said that they wanted to tap water from Congo River, and bring it up there. And, people are free to think. And in engineering, a lot of things are, they are possible. And but if you want to evacuate water from the Bangweulu and take it to Kariba, I don't think it is a prudent way of doing things. What we need, let's keep the rivers in their ecosystems, in their pathways. Not that you cannot make an artificial river, you can. By the way, you can also generate electricity without necessarily the need of a river. And so there are other means of generating electricity without pondering on that. What we can also do is just to shift, which government I think is alive to take some power plants to the northern part of the country, which has got better rainfall than in the south.
Quite an interesting observation there. And we have another question from a viewer who says, since this is a serious problem affecting businesses, Zambia should ask for aid from other countries to work on energy. Do you think we have reached at that extent? Should we start asking, not dates, but just asking, like, those who are willing to help us, please help us? They're saying, since this is a problem affecting businesses, Zambia should ask for aid from other countries. Have we reached that level?
Well, if you are looking at help from other countries, my understanding of that question is that you are looking at to be assisted with electricity from other countries. I don't think at the moment there is anybody who can give electricity to Zambia, because Zambia is the one who is trying now to assist.
I think they're talking about investing in the energy sector.
There are a lot of investment pledges. Even at ZDA right now, if you go, you'll find billions worth of investment pledges that are there. The issue is what I alluded to. Why are these investment pledges not being actualized? Why were they not actualized? The answer is very, very simple. It is the issue of the tariff. We have to go for the tariff. Let's resolve the tariff. Let's discuss with the various customers and see who is able to bear the brunt of the tariff. That I'm not going to bend backwards on, because it is as is. That is at the apex of the challenges that we have been facing in the energy sector. It is the tariff, number one. Number two, the lengthy and the very cumbersome approval processes, which takes time. And government also has acknowledged that we need to cut down on the cost of doing business. We need to cut down on the time lag that it takes before a project is approved. It takes time, I'm telling you the truth, because the pathway to building a plant, first of all, you have to look for land. And most likely it will be traditional land, it will be customary land. By the time you are through with that process with a council, with the chiefs and with the council to get your title deed, the Minister of Lands, you'll be very fortunate if that process will take 3 months. When you are done with that process, you have to head back to the council to take your drawings, because they have to be approved in terms of the town planning requirements. There is an act you have to comply with. That is another 3-4 months, because the time the full council is sitting and all those, you have already dropped 6 months. When you are done that now, you have to head now to Zema now. Zema also, you take maybe another 3 months or 4 months, if you are fortunate there. Already 1 year is off before you even head to Energy Regulation Board, because now Energy Regulation Board also has to be satisfied of complied with their requirements, so on and so forth. Not that regulation is wrong. Regulation, we need it, because this is electricity. It has to be regulated. But by the time you're also through with them, that's another 3-4 months. If you put these things together, that's already 1 year, 2 months. Our question is, can some approvals run concurrently? Why should it be taking us so long? And this is just now for you to get the license. Now, when you get it, then you begin your international procurement, because you have to import, if it's solar panels or whatever you want to use to make your power plant. Importation maybe from China, that's another 2 months. By the time the consignment arriving on the coast, by the time it is arriving in Zambia, you are already in 3rd month. You start your construction, that's another 2 to 3 months. So the areas it might take you to bring out a solar power plant from scratch, it's not less than 1 year, 6 months. Because of this cumbersome procurement process. And you'll be fortunate if you have to supply to ZESCO, then you also now go into very cumbersome procurement processes also, which take another 2 months to 3 months. Yeah, so that's not the way to go for a country that is in a hurry to develop. We have to rework a lot of things.
So let's say we actually, or maybe government, the Ministry of Energy actually approves, or maybe decides to actually increase the tariffs for the sake of investment. Would we see electricity becoming affordable in the future after mass investment?
Of course, electricity is an enabler. It enables industry development. If you do not have adequate electricity, you cannot attract certain investments. You can't, because when an investor comes, they look at issues of security, they look at do you have enough energy in the country. We are very, very far when you look at where we are at the moment, because there are some customers, a single customer, that can use more than half of what we are currently producing in the country. In South Africa, I know one customer who uses 900 megawatts. One customer, 900 megawatts, just one. You see, so it can take only 1 or 2 and you have wiped out your entire. So we haven't reached where we need to install the capacity in order to start attracting more and more investors in the general economy that will create jobs, that will create wealth for our country. The more energy that you have in the country, in the long term, it ends up cheaper. It will end up cheaper.
So as an energy expert, let's talk about the staggered load shedding, which was recently introduced, where we have 6-hour breaks. Do you feel that the current way that load shedding is being instituted is the best, or how best do you feel the load shedding can be instituted, since we have been told that it is a necessity?
The practice of staggering is not a new thing, maybe here, but in other countries like South Africa, that is what they do, because it is recognized that anything beyond 6 hours is inconveniencing enough. I arrived at my home in the night and I couldn't manage to open the gate because the battery had drained. Anything beyond 6 hours, you see your batteries have drained, your power backup has also drained. So anybody, I've seen a lot of comments, still people not appreciating this. It is a positive step. It's like being punished. Someone says, I'm going to punish you for 12 hours non-stop. And someone says, I'll punish you for 6 hours, then I'm going to give you a breathing space for 6 hours. Then I'll resume the punishment again. Really, for me, I would say, please, I think let's break the punishment in portions of 6 hours instead of taking me on for the next 12 hours non-stop. It will break me. It will, the fridges, all your relish, 12 hours, they just you lose them. And people have got butcheries. The impact was so wide, the motorized gates. So 12 hours on the backups, 12 hours on the refrigeration system, 12 hours of exposure to security vulnerability. Because when you have no power, especially at night, security issues come into being. So 12 hours of exposure throughout the whole night, you have no power, no what, you get exposed significantly to security challenges. So by truncating it, bringing it in 2 portions, it is creating some relief of some portion. And I think that must be acknowledged, that must be appreciated. I know even 6 hours is a stretch, but the relief that is doing is helpful. I am an entrepreneur myself with a business running, and we have got employees. We suffer, I'm telling you the truth. So that 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours of window period, we are able to print, we are able to achieve quite a lot as compared to completely having nothing.
Do you think, let's talk about the impact that this load shedding that we're currently facing at the moment will have on small and medium price owners. what will be the impact, let's say in 3 years, 2 years to come? Because we do understand that these people also contribute to the country's economy. These small owners, the people who own barbershop, saloons, and stuff like that. Let's talk about the impact that the current load shedding will have on them. I know that despite breaking it into 6 hours, it's not all the areas which will have power during the day.
Yes. The SME contribution to the GDP cannot be underestimated. I think in 2015, when this kind of thing happened, the ERB commissioned a study to undertake an impact assessment study of load shedding on small, medium enterprises. And that report, I think, is on the website of the ERB. It was found that indeed there is a serious correlation between lack of power and its impact on small-scale businesses. It does affect, and this definitely, we all know that load shedding, energy poverty affects the economic recovery program, which is a very big setback, I think, for the government, because it is working hard at this particular time to rebuild the economy, and this kind of headwinds that are being faced have to be assailed at all costs. Otherwise, the impact would be felt for a while on the absence of sufficient energy. Yeah.
Now, Doc, we've also seen the same matter of load shedding being politicized. Is that the best way? Maybe saying, you promise, make sure you do it. Is it realistic? Or like how best can we, stakeholders maybe try to offer solutions to the current administration? Should it be politicized?
You know, the country is very politically polarized, and I'm very concerned that even almost 1 year, 7 months after the elections, still the discourse going on. It's like we are in a campaign mode, still the campaign
and people are talking about 2026 even now.
Even now, it's like, surely, can't we find something to do? The Zambian people decided, they gave the mandate to a new government in keeping with the democratic, dispensation. The failure of government was our failure. 5 years is not small time. So if the government that you put in place fails, it will reflect on you. You will suffer yourselves. And so there are certain things that are of a national imperative, which we have to be able to gather together and unite and say, this thing is affecting all of us. It is affecting me, whether I'm a voter or I don't vote, whether I belong to this party or I don't, whether I hate this party or not, it is affecting all of us. It's a national issue. Can we resolve the national issue? To be honest with you, it is, let me, I think, deal with this thing in a very deeper way. At the height of the energy sector reforms, we needed to amend certain pieces of laws. We needed to change the Energy Regulation Board Act of 1995. We also needed to change the Electricity Act of 1995. They were changed in a very, very dramatic way, very, very detailed. And I participated in the formulations of those laws, and of course they went through government process, and we were all sitting on our edge when they go to Parliament to see whether the opposition, they were going to vote for them. I was very, very amazed how the honorable members of Parliament debated those bills, and they went through seamlessly. The current government was in opposition then. They supported those bills aimed at restructuring the energy sector to the hilt, and they went through seamlessly. I'm expecting that further restructuring has to happen, and they'll have to go back to Parliament, because there is a RIA Act has not gone back to Parliament, RIA Bill hasn't, and also Petroleum Management Bill has not gone there. My expectation is that if it's a national issues, can we tone down on being so political and be able to support? There is no one can single-handedly solve this kind of load shedding that we are facing without the support of the other stakeholders, without the support of the consumers, because it's talking about changing maybe the tariff structures. So we have also as a country, as consumers, to really come to a situation where we say, look, we love our country. Why am I insisting on being taken to Livingstone by paying 50% of the bus fare to Livingstone when I know that? Why? Why? Because we don't even want bus drivers or bus owners to increase the bus fares when the fuel price has changed. We don't want that. Why?
Quite interesting there. Anyway, talking about taking the matter political, let's just take a look at a story that we did on 5th January 2023, where we interviewed Economic Front Party President Mr. Winter Kavimba. Let's hear what he had to say on the issue of load shedding. Expectations from the governing United Party for National Development UPND are high in 2023, as this will mark the second full year of the UPND in office. The party was in 2022 stating that it was putting things in order and would be able to take full control of all sectors once the cleanup is done. Economic Front Party President Winter Kavimba, however, projects that things will not improve in 2023 but only worsen due to the introduction of the 12 hours load shedding schedule, among other issues. He has accused the current administration of U-turning from its promises to the Zambian people.
But conservatively, the $25.8 billion broken down, I said to them, we cannot run an economy with load shedding. Malaiti ayenda, ufunopiga ayenda, mwana afuno study, malaiti ayenda, we will want to fix electricity so that we end load shedding in the shortest possible time after taking office. We got a pledge of $5.4 billion just to bring green energy to cut out load shedding.
Mr. Kavimba has also predicted mass unemployment and slow economic growth due to load shedding.
We come from a background where load shedding in 2022 was something like 4 hours. We have now moved to a 12-hour load shedding. How can I be optimistic? I can only be pessimistic. So I have no projections I have no optimistic projections for 2023. This is a failed project by UPND. That's what it is.
The opposition leader has further called for the promotion of small-scale miners in Zambia through making it easy for them to access loans from banks, stating that their success will trickle down to mass employment.
And therefore, we need another line of banking, which is predominantly government-owned or government-supported, so that the small-scale business people can access monies. That's the third fundamental. Okay? So if you do it, that way, then we'll be able to find, a way of empowering everybody, of generating wealth, generating goods and services, and that is what is called an economy, in my little understanding of economics.
The EF president has challenged the UPND to live up to its promises, adding that the status quo does not point towards positive economic growth. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. Quite interesting there. That was an observation from the Economic Front EF President, Mr. Winter Kavimba, who was just challenging the UPND, saying they promised and they should deliver. Now, Mr. Chikwanda, maybe just what is your view over maybe the story that we just played in terms of attainability within the 5-year mandate of the UPND, saying, or maybe should we say within 4 years, are we able to solve the energy crisis?
Yes, we can solve. We can solve, and there are legacy issues which I think they're grappling with. I made a very important statement, I think, at the beginning, citing a Greek philosopher who once says that whatever has come into being by virtue of its history. I have given a very good background that why we are in this situation is because we have not restructured the energy sector sufficiently in order to make it more attractive. We've been getting a lot of investment pledges in the sector which are not been getting actualized because the climate is not yet attractive because of issues of the tariff and issues of cumbersome procurement processes, cumbersome approval processes. So all those have to be reworked. So if we can rework that, I see that they will unlock amazing amount of investment in the energy sector.
Now, Doc, yesterday the president was meeting a task force that has been constituted to find solution or rather deal with the energy crisis that we are facing in the country. Do you think that they are equal to the tax?
I don't know who is there.
We have ZESCO,
ERB, and
there's water.
There's water.
Yes.
And, so he's gotten the correct catchment because definitely you need representation from ZESCO, you need representation from key state departments on it. And I believe that they will do the job because in any case, our challenges are known already. They are already known. So my concern is the recommendations that they will come up with. Are we able to implement them? Because we've been at this before, where task forces were set up even in the past, and I've sat on a number of them, where we would do a lot of recommendations to government, and government does not implement them, or maybe just a small fraction of the recommendation. Of course, they will tell you maybe it's budget issues, or maybe it's not politically correct at this particular time to implement some of these measures. You know, the politics, I think the politicians have a way of thinking, which sometimes amazes me. So that is the issue. And there is a high likelihood also that they will do a very good job. And but the issue is the implementation. What they are going to come up with, to what degree, to what extent are we going to implement them? Because the foundational problems are the issues of the tariff, the long cumbersome processes. Those things have to be dealt with in order to unlock the investment that we have in the country. Of course, there could be a few low-hanging fruits here and there, but there is no quick fix to what we are facing. There is absolutely no quick fix.
Now, Doc, I'll take you back. The issue of load shedding, we know that it has been there for quite some time. And the UPND, when they were in opposition, by then they did promise the people of Zambia that they were going to, deal or end load shedding. Do you think this was supposed to be their first thing when they formed government, to look at these issues, than 1 year plus down the line in office? Now we are back into this crisis of load shedding.
I need to be very fair here, very, very fair and level-headed. They have been in power for 1 year.
1 year plus, going to 2 years.
About 4 months. 1 year, 4 months.
About 1 year, 4 months, about. In the energy sector, to implement a meaningful project, I just alluded to you that it might take you at a minimum 1 year, 6 months. At a minimum, because of the current structure of the energy sector, the way it is. The current structure, the lengthy procurement and the approval processes, and then also the issue of the structure as well. I listened to the president when he went to parliament. He mentioned that the country would be put on a journey to cost-reflective tariff. That has been put in place. They were waiting for the electricity cost of service study at that particular time, because each time you want to touch the tariff, everyone will say, oh, no, there is a consultant. Why don't we wait for the consultant to tell us whether the tariff is being charged? Okay. And that was only presented a few months ago. So in a way, they were also handicapped to that particular situation. So I think I want to balance this and be reasonably balance my views here in what we are expecting and what is capable of happening in the energy sector. But I believe that the next 2 years, 3 years is very, very critical to them with regard to that promise. They have to unlock Batoka Gulf, they have to unlock the issues on the Wapula River, and they have to unlock a bit more of some coal-fire, thermal power plant. They have to go very, very wide in terms of deploying solar energy. And the next 3 years is very, very critical.
Quite interesting there, Doc. We seem to have run out of time. What are some of your concluding remarks, maybe within 5 minutes or so?
Number one, we have a situation at hand, and I've listened very carefully and I've watched what people, the comments. No one can reasonably want to be deliberately in a load shedding and shed your own people and shed the industry and shed the households. What has happened is unfortunate. As a country, we need to introspect whether we want to be going around in circles over the same things again, or we need to put our foot down and say, look, enough is enough. Can we resolve this problem? And we have guided, all of us have added our voices. From my perspective, from where I'm seated, how I have understood the sector, at the nexus of the problems that this sector faces is a lack of cost-reflective tariff. As long as we do not solve that, it does not matter how brilliant somebody you put there. It does not matter how much investment pledges you get. They cannot be actualized because there is no one who, in their reasonable sense of mind, would bring an investment that will operate at a loss, unless it is for the purpose of generating electricity as an independent power producer and sell it to ZESCO, expensive electricity which ZESCO costs to sell at a loss. And there is a limit to how much you can do that, otherwise you break that company with further losses. The days of depending on hydro are numbered, so we need to significantly look elsewhere. We need to deal with the bottlenecks that are in the sector in order to bring more clarity, efficiency, and reduce the cost of doing business in the energy sector. As a country, we need to find a way of trying to rally and be together in solving national problems like this instead of tearing one another apart in the face of a burning issue. The issue of energy poverty cannot be underestimated. It is solvable, it is assailable, it is the entire region engulfed. It's a burning platform, but we can manage to arise and utilize the opportunities that come with a crisis.
Quite interesting there and quite a fruitful deliberation. I think if there's one takeaway point which I've heard is the issue of increasing electricity tariffs, although it does not sit well for many people, I'm sure. We've seen that it is a necessity if we're to get out of this problem that we have. Thank you very much, Doc, for coming through and also educating us here as well.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine.
And hope to see you next time, Miriam.
Sure.
Anyway, this is where we come to the conclusion of our breakfast show this morning. But, however, do make a date tomorrow with Patrick Soko and Sharon Karimba as they bring you to speed with current affairs. For me, Miriam Kaimba and Zipporah Mshara, it's bye-bye and see you next week on Monday and Tuesday.